Hello everyone, this is George from Digital Art Scoop, and today we'll be modeling a cufflink for 3D printing. I'm using 3ds Max to do this, and we all know that 3ds Max is a very flexible modeling tool, and this is actually a disadvantage when it comes to 3D printing because usually we'll want to know exactly the kind of the dimensions that we put in a model that we want to physically bring to life. And in this tutorial we'll see how exactly we can overcome the natural tendency of freeform modeling in 3ds Max and really make an accurate design. So when building something that will be 3D printed, we need to consider several constraints. So our first set of design constraints come from the 3D printer and the material. I will be designing the cufflinks so that I can print them in steel. Steel is this is a material sheet from Shapeways, and steel is one of the most difficult material to work with in terms of constraints because it has some of the thickest dimensions in terms of minimum supported wall thickness or minimum supported wires, and these are the constraints that we'll have in mind when modeling in 3ds Max. So this value of 3 millimeters, and also the minimum embossed detail is an important constraint, which has to be at least 1 millimeter so that it prints accurately. Now certainly we can go below these values and print our model in steel, and it may just print proper. So we can notice here some samples from them, but it's recommended that we go above this value, so at least for an important section of our model. So another set of constraints will come from our use of this model. So this isn't only a decorative piece of artwork, but it's actually a functional accessory, right? So when designing something for 3D printing, please bear in mind the dimensional constraints that come from that design. So you will build in cufflinks, so we need to know all the sub-elements of this model aren't either too small or too big so that they function properly. I already went down and written down some of the main dimensions that I'm using, so you can follow along the tutorial to get these. But if you're building something else, make sure you sketch down your model and write down the main dimensioning constraints. Great, so we'll start from the base of our cufflink, and I will go first of all for a height of 3.2 millimeters. So I'm going a bit up over the 3 millimeters minimum, and I'll start with a radius of 4 millimeters. Now you notice that I'm talking about millimeters here, and this is because I went to customize unit setup and made sure that my unit scale is set on metric on millimeters, and also that my unit setup is set to millimeters as well. So each unit here represents 1 millimeter. Okay, this is very important when working for 3D printing because you would want to have a proper scale of your model, and also you would want to scale your model as little as possible. Right now if I scale this, it will still retain these dimensions right here, which are false right now. Okay, so I will undo this. So always keep in mind that it's not so safe to scale a model. Now I'll convert this to an editable poly, and I'll actually scale the model only on one dimension because I need a bit more of an oval shape. But I'm certain that I have the 3 millimeter constraint settled. Great. So now what I want to do is extrude this upwards to make the base wire of my cufflink, and I'll extrude this for about double the diameter of my base, so 16 millimeters. Click OK. Now what I want to make sure at this point is that the width, so the minimum side of this wire element, we could call it, is respecting the Shapeways recommended sizes. So I need to know that this wire has at least 3 millimeters in diameter. So how can I do this in 3ds Max? Well, we'll be using helpers, and so create helpers and tape. And before using this, I want to make sure that it snaps to the vertices that define my dimensions. So I'll enable snaps right here, and right clicking on this snaps toggle will bring out this menu where you can make sure that you have vertex checked. No need to press clear all, this will just clear all of these settings, and you just close this dialog box. Now you notice how you have these little crosshairs active whenever you hover over a vertex. So if I go from left to right, I notice that I have 3.3 millimeters. So even though I didn't establish this dimension when I went through and modeled this, it turned out pretty great. So you notice how I'm in a way blending in 3ds Max flexibility with double checking. So if this were to be too small, I could have just went in and thickened it further. Okay, great. Now I want to add some text on top of my cufflink, but I need to make sure that I have some supportive piece of material there. This is because usually when working with text and 3D printing, you end up having really thin walls. So most likely our text won't have 3 millimeter thick walls, but rather be 1 millimeter thick embossed detail. So if this is the detail, we need to have a base to place our model. So if we move here, I'll just start building this base. Now what I want to do is not come with a different model on top of this one, but rather just continue my model uh, further. So just go here, extrude this for another 3 millimeters, click OK, and now I'll just start extruding these sides. So I'm extruding these ones and this side. Now you notice I'm making sure I have the extrusion set to group, so not normal or polygon, but group. Okay, and now I'll just pick all these vertices and align them to my x-axis. Okay, you can do this using this little button right here, or using the scale tool, and just scale all the way through. Okay, it's the same thing. And now I'll just extrude these ones as well. You notice how, again, I'm not too worried about dimensions right now. I can keep in mind that this is a 3.2 millimeters height, and this is a 3 millimeter height, so I pretty much know how I can gauge the other dimensions right here. Okay, so now I want to get rid of these vertices, so only the top ones, because I want to make this a bit more interesting here. So I just select them, can press I'm pressing F3, so I'm switching from realistic or shaded, whatever you might have, to wireframe, so I can see a little bit better, and I press backspace. So this deletes the vertices. I notice I have another set of vertices here, so I'll show you a different way of deleting it. You can select an edge, and if I press backspace it will delete this edge, uh, but the vertices will remain. So if I undo that, if I press Control, so hold Control and press backspace, this will delete the edge and the end uh, vertices for that edge. So I have no vertices left here. So what I want to do now is just raise this up. Now I forgot to switch off my snaps toggle. You can switch it on and off with the S key. So I'm not worried about the angle right now. I just want to get a nice look. Okay. I also notice the preview of my mesh is a bit off, and this is because of smoothing groups. So a quick fix is to go to modeling and choose hard. So this will make all the smoothing groups hard. And another configuration that I'll do, I'll just go to configure viewports and uncheck, at least in 3ds Max 2014, uncheck display selected with edge faces. So right now I can press F4 and preview this better. Okay, so this already looks pretty interesting and respects all the dimensioning requirements. Now what I want to do is first make this top part a bit more interesting. So I'll just extrude this, and actually I want to make sure that I'm respecting the 1mm embossed detail constraint. So I'll just extrude it by 1mm once and twice and another time. So let me see, I have one here, one here, one here. This is enough. That's okay. And I just want to play a bit with these polygons right here. So let me just extrude them, confine them to the z-axis. I'll just drag them inwards. So I know these details are 1mm wide, so I'm positive that they'll print well. So what I notice right here is that I have these polygons a bit off. Okay, so I can easily switch this or correct this for 3D rendering by just using the turn function from edit polygon. So it's just this edge that it's improperly placed here. So I can easily fix this, and it will probably render out very well, but I'm not concerned with rendering right now. I'm concerned with 3D printing. So what I notice in fact is that these polygons right here, they have a very unnatural look. So when designing for 3D printing, please keep in mind that the edge flow, the mesh, has to be very clean. So you can't have such twisted polygons. Also make sure that always your mesh is closed, so it's watertight, how it's also named. So I'll just delete all of these because it's the easiest way to work. And now I'll just recreate my edges, and a quick fix would be to just cap this border. So go to border and choose cap, and then connect the vertices. Or actually first I'll do something else. I want to come here and have a vertex here where I can meet with this triangle piece. So because I need these vertices, I need to generate them. So I don't want to put vertices throughout my model, but only on this side. So I'm using slice plane after I've selected my my polygons, I can go into a side view and make sure that I place my polygons exactly where I need them. So I just choose slice, make sure not to have split check. This will split the mesh. So now if I go here and do a cap, I can easily just connect the right vertices just the way I need them. Okay, and also this one with this one, and this one with this one. It is a bit tedious, but right now you see I no longer have one polygon which was this one plus this one. So now these are different polygons altogether. So really much cleaner work right now. Also another important tip to keep in mind is always make sure your normals are properly aligned. So if by some procedure or another, I'll just connect them on this side also. So if for instance while doing such capping or welding vertices, I don't know, you might end up with inverted polygons. So that's something you should avoid. And to quickly visualize a polygon which is flipped, just make sure you have F2 active. So function command 2 will toggle between this red and just the outline of selected polygons, and if the polygon is flipped, it will have a different shade, it will have a darker shade, right? So if I just flip this polygon over, my mesh will be unprintable. So always keep this in mind. So 3ds Max, it is pretty sensible with this stuff. So but if you're just a little bit careful, you shouldn't have any problems with getting a proper mesh for 3D printing. So I'm almost done here, and I think this looks quite interesting. Okay, can preview it. I have a nice. This will have a nice detail. We'll add some light play to my piece, especially if it's a bit shiny. Now I could go ahead and chamfer this out just a little bit to make sure that they don't cut you, but most likely after 3D printing they will end up a bit polished. So this is another aspect you should consider. You can have a polished material or just a raw version of it, so you have different finishes. So if you know this won't be polished at all, it might be a good idea to chamfer some of the edges that you think are important to your design. So just so you don't end up hurting yourself. Okay, so I'll just chamfer this out. Great. So now let's add some lettering to our model. So let's make it ours. Let's make it custom. So I'll just add CG. I have two sides here. So I'm going to create shape and text, and just create a text with CG. Make sure the size is much smaller. Okay, so my text should come about in here. Now I should also consider exactly how I'm wearing these. So most likely I'll be wearing this as so. So I should turn my text, right? So this is how I imagine my cufflink to stand, and I'll have this lettering on top. Okay, positioning. Now they're obviously a bit too big, so let's make them smaller. This is good, and also extrude them. So I'm applying a modifier, the extrude modifier, and I choose a value of 1. So I know this is the minimum value, and I can always increase this afterwards. But for now, I'll just leave it to 1 to make sure I know to have a dimension of 1 millimeter here. So this will help me through my process. Now, obviously, I can place them here, and I'll probably rotate them around on each side. But before I do so, I notice that the width of my detail is not actually 1. It's actually much lower than so. So if I come in here and check it out, I'm pressing S to activate my snap. So I notice this is 1.45. So I should go over double this value to have a detail that will print properly on Shapeways at least. But this material documentation here should apply for pretty much anything. Okay, so what I do first is make sure I change my text font from Arial to something probably a bit more strong. So this Arial black should help out quite a bit. So if I go now and choose tape, now I have a 0.6 value. So already I'm a bit better off. So but I still have to raise the size of my text. So I think I have to raise it quite a bit. Let's see, 9. Okay. It's easy to lose scale of things. I have to scale it a bit further. So I think I'll just make it a 10. So it's easy to lose the scale of things. So always make sure you zoom back and appreciate the sizing, the proportions of your model. Don't be afraid to add in some dummy geometry just to make more sense out of it. So if you want to know, look, this is a 2 centimeter block. So indeed, this text isn't quite that large. So you have to know it should be a 10 millimeter long text, right? So if I am to measure it top to bottom, I notice it's sorry, something like this. It's actually half of that, so it's 0.5 centimeters long. Okay, so if I have a specific value in mind, I don't, but if I have a specific value in mind, I should make sure that my model conforms to that. Okay, so if I wanted this to be 1 centimeter, I would make it so. But I'm pretty happy with this. I don't want to go with a pretty large model. So I'll just widen the top base. So I'm placing myself in an orthographic position, and I'll just do my best to scale this sideways. Okay. So I'll also scale these vertices right here because I want them to be to form a straight line. Okay. So yep, this looks pretty good. And right now I think I can either keep the text and extrude so that I can edit it later, but I'm happy with the result, so I'm converting this to an editable poly and just go to front view and just rotate them. Let me undo that because I want to know how much I'm rotating each one of them. So again, you notice I have a free flexible workflow, so I'm noticing I have like 17 degrees. Take this minus 17 as well. Now I can make this transparent, so use select it and press Alt X on your keyboard to make this see-through. So yes, I'm pretty happy with this. So just to be on the safe side, I'll just extrude these 4.2 millimeters, confirm it, and just lower them down a bit. So right now I'm positive they are over 1 millimeter extruded. They have over 1 millimeter thickness throughout, and yeah, this is pretty much it. Great. So the final touch that I'll be adding to my design is just well, first I will round out the edges on this bottom piece so that it fits a bit better um, on your sleeve. So to do so, I'll just select a big chunk. Well, actually, first I will connect these with several edges. Okay, and I'll just after going to polygon, right, I selected this space. So I could have selected it like here, like this, and unselect those using holding Alt, right, and just go to mesh smooth. Just once should be enough. So this is pretty good. Now I want to make sure that this will hold, so I'll just raise it a bit so it has a bit more definition. Maybe also this one. Maybe I'll chamfer this one. Okay. Okay, so this looks pretty good to me. So right now I'll just merge everything. I'll attach the lettering to my model, so I have just one object. Now even I can select them independently. Okay, and I'll apply a slight bend modifier to my design because I wanted. Usually cufflinks have this bend value, but I don't want to deform the top part that much, nor the bottom part, because you'll notice that when deforming it, this will easily go below my 3 millimeter value. So I will first of all raise this gizmo to be somewhere in the middle and start limiting its effect. So I'm limiting it uh, up to the point where my top part starts because I don't want to have it deformed. Okay, and limit it downwards up to where the bottom part starts. Okay, so this is actually pretty good, and this is pretty much it. Now I can go in and divide these so I have a smoother bend. maybe add another line here. Okay, but overall I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Now, if I am to print this at Shapeways, I don't have to worry that much about how it's oriented, because Shapeways printers are professional grade, so they're not desktop printers printing from the base upwards. But and they have this uh, pretty much like sand filled uh, cases where they print. But if I am to print this on a desktop printer, I need to make sure that the base of my model can attach firmly to the printing base. So in this case, I'll have to reorient uh, my model. So let me undo that. So I think the best orientation would be to have it lay flat on a side. So I'll just press A key to activate angle snap toggle. Rotate this 90 degrees and make sure this is as close as possible to 0 0. Now what will happen certainly is that I have an issue here with this segment of my cufflink. So if I want to print this, I'll definitely have some issues. So let me add an edit poly modifier. So really the only way for this design to print properly on a 3D printer is either added some wraps or some pieces of geometry that will go all the way up to the base, pretty much like this one. So if I'm to preview it like so, right now I can also select all these vertices and make sure they're aligned and they have 0 0 coordinates, so I can move the points precisely to 0.00. Now this is one way to do it, but I ran into many problems with this piece right here. So certainly this piece will cause me problems, this connector, when printing on a 3D printer, on a desktop 3D printer. So another alternative that might be a bit more healthy could be to just select this part and really modify, just slightly modify my geometry. So activate this and just sorry, just lower this down. So this way the layers, sorry, it affected. Okay, and maybe also let me uncheck this, raise this up, make sure I get everything and I'm not deforming the geometry too much. So I'm just deforming it slightly. Okay, this is pretty good. So you have to keep in mind technically how a 3D printer works. So a desktop 3D printer will start laying material on the print bed layer by layer by layer by layer horizontally. So again, I'm duplicating the base polygons. So make sure all your geometry is firmly attached to the print bed. So in my case, I will just force these polygons right here to start from 0 0. So sorry, make sure this is 0.00. So I'm flattening out this base just to make sure that it will firmly attach itself to the print base. And because this is on a diagonal, so it will just add a little by little uh, to to uh, to the printed material. So if by any chance this doesn't print out well, maybe I need to increase this diagonal even further, or add more geometry to my mesh that comes from down from the printing bed. Okay, so pretty much like this. So that when this prints out, and it has a base from which to go out and print this. Now again, this depends on whatever you're printing on. If you're printing on Shapeways, you don't have any of these problems. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching this tutorial on Digital Art Scoop, and tune in for more 3D printing related tutorials.